Hi guys, this car should need no further introduction, and even if you have been under a shell for the past 6 months, the stickers on the body should readily tell you what vehicle this is. This is the Aruz, Perodua's much awaited SUV, and well, this is the official media test car, and they've very kindly provided a few stickers to tell us some of the key selling points of this car. 15.6 liters 15.6 kilometers per liter fuel consumption. Thus far, the trip computer is showing me about 9.6, so it's still got some way to go to match this claim. 5-star rating by ASEAN NCAP. So safety levels of this car is higher than previous Peroduas. Of course, 7-seaters, integrated dash cam. This is only for the advanced version. Advanced safety assist feature, also only for the advanced version. 6 airbags, built-in smart tag, and also security window film. All right, so the Aruz here comes in 2 variants. All right, the one that I am reviewing here, this is the advanced version. Okay, there's also a cheaper X model that's priced at 73,000 ringgit. This is 5,000 ringgit more expensive. My personal opinion, it's a no-brainer. If you're buying an Aruz, go straight for the AV model, because the 5,000 ringgit extra, to me, it is a worthwhile upgrade. All right, there are of course certain cosmetic upgrades that you see. You get this silver painted finishing at the underside of the bumper. All right, front, you also get it at the front. All right, you also get it at the front. You get front fog lamps. LED headlights are standard. 17-inch wheels are standard. Keyless entry is standard. Reverse camera here is also standard. All right, but you know, for 5,000 ringgit extra, you get leather upholstery, you get the ASA 2.0 system, you also get the built-in dash cam as you see there. Okay, now a point to note about the ASA 2.0 system. From a hardware perspective, it is the same as the ASA 1.0 as you get in the Myvi, but here in the Aruz, they have upgraded the software to include pedestrian detection. All right, so it is a software upgrade for pedestrian detection. Hardware is the same, they just tweaked the software to better recognize pedestrians. So the ASA system relies on 2 cameras, stereoscopic cameras, so they function pretty much like the human eye, all right, in which the brain actually compares the images from the left and right eye, and that's what allows us to judge distance. All right, so here we also have this literature provided by Perodua. This is very useful. If any of you guys buy the Aruz, strongly recommend that you read this. This tells you all the capabilities and limitations of these advanced safety assist features. Now, one thing to note, okay, advanced safety assist, ASA, Perodua's ASA system is a budget system. It is not the most advanced that you will get in the market. Certainly you cannot compare with equivalent systems that is provided by, say, Volvo or Mercedes-Benz or even the Proton X70. But fact of the matter is, what Perodua has done with ASA, they have brought auto braking, they have brought collision warning to the 60,000 ringgit, 70,000 ringgit price point. So it is good enough that this feature is even there, and I think for consumers it is extremely important that everybody is made to understand what are the limitations of the system. Now, the main talking point about the Aruz is that this is effective. This is pretty much one and the same car as the Toyota Rush, and this was also the case with, if you recall, the Perodua Nautica. That was also based on the Toyota Rush as well. But the difference is that, right, at that time, the Nautica was a 5-seater, was a shorter wheelbase version. The Rush in Malaysia at that time, all right, was the 7-seater model. This time, the Aruz and the Rush are exactly the same car. All right, cosmetically they're different. They get different tail lights. They get different front headlights, bumpers. But everything else is the same, even right down to the plant where they are made. Okay, so Perodua currently manufactures the Aruz. They also manufacture the Rush for Toyota as well. So there's a significant price gap, of course, between the Aruz and the Rush. And if you ask me, smart money would actually be on the Aruz if you are considering between these two vehicles. All right, I mean, look at it this way: the Rush and the Aruz, more or less the same features, same engine, same underpinnings. All right, and because they are built on the same plant along the same line, it wouldn't make sense for these two cars to have different quality levels. They would be built to more or less the same level of quality. Yeah. Okay, now one thing to note about the Rush, structurally, it is a monocoque body sitting on top of a leather frame. The underside of the vehicle is it's a leather frame design, and it has a live rear axle, if you can see it from this angle below. Okay, yeah, it's a live rear axle right there. So it's rear wheel drive. Okay, now of course, don't think of this as being a sporty vehicle. It isn't. The advantage of rear wheel drive here in this sense is that it gives the vehicle better balance when carrying heavy loads. All right, and also the other advantage of having rear wheel drive for this class of vehicle is that you get exceptionally good turning radius. Okay, because the front wheels do not need to send drive as well, right? The front wheels can be made to turn more in a tight corner. So the Aruz has excellent turning radius. I experienced this earlier. Now let's look inside. Alright, so the Aruz gives you 213 liters of boot space with 7 seats deployed. Of course, you can convert this, alright, drop this. Is it in a two-step operation? Lift this up, same here. This frees up an additional 300 liters of cargo room here for you to load your suitcases, your golf bags, groceries, whatever. Okay, so with five seating capacity, you have about 514 liters of cargo space. So yeah, but of course you have this hooks here for the rear seats to latch on. If you want to use it as a 5-seater on a more permanent basis, Perodua also offers an accessory whereby you can put a mat over to cover this and to prevent items from dropping into these gaps here. Okay, there's a light there, and you get a 12-volt socket here which you can use to power your things here, or when you are using this as a 7-seater, up to you, but there's a 12-volt socket right there. Right, so to put this back down, very simple: drop this, pull this back up. All right, drop this, pull this back up. Simple, functional, two-step movement. Okay, let's step inside. And so right now the driver's seat is adjusted to my seating position. I will pull this seat all the way back. Right, so this is, if you're using this as a 5-seater, right, this is the kind of leg room that you get. All right, pretty decent. All right, and so if you want to be more considerate to your rear passengers, slide this forward. Hey, this is not too bad as well. Okay, this is not too bad as well. Got about this much of leg room here, so not cramped by any means. And but of course, don't expect much in the way of thigh support lah. The seat actually, well, it is actually rather short, so there's about an inch of gap between the seat cushion as well as my thighs, right? But I mean, at this price point, it's okay, right? So of course you've got hooks here as well. Hooks here, standard Perodua fare. This anti-snatch hook, a local Perodua development. Now let's step to the back. Okay, now to drop this, okay, and then we step in. With with this seat pushed further forward, you get leg room here is good, but forget about thigh support lah. It's well, next to none. But still, if you were to be seated here on a well, maybe 20-30 kilometer drive, you'll be fine. But if you're traveling outstation, well, be sure to give the guys at the back here a bit more rest. Okay, it's not claustrophobic, but it is just merely a very functional space. Headroom is pretty good too. So yeah, spacious. It's spacious enough, but yeah, not exactly the most comfortable. Okay, I've also gotten comments that in my Rush versus BRV video that they say that the Rush third row is a bit narrow, but for me, I think at this price point, certainly I have nothing to complain about with regards to space. Okay, so getting out, topple this down and step out. No fuss. Okay, so another thing about the Aruz, you get rear aircon vents. All right, you only get fan speed control here. Now, how these aircon vents work? Very simple. Basically, what they have here inside here is a fan unit, and you see these vents here. They suck in cool air from the front part of the cabin through these vents and distribute it further back. All right, so it is a very simple, low-cost solution that excludes the need of running complicated piping, or through the B pillars all the way up here into this roof. All you need to do is just put a fan unit here, suck cool air from the front, blow it to the back. End of story. All right. Remember, this is a budget conscious car, so you need this kind of low cost yet smart solutions to keep costs down. Okay, so we step into the front. Well, nothing, it's a functional cabin now, but let's get inside. So here we have engine start stop button. This disables the advanced safety assist features, auto start stop, stability control. All right, and so here we have the instrument cluster. It is a very basic instrument cluster, and so you can accept this. Shows the timing, how much time that you have has the auto start stop kicked in during the course of your journey. Odometer, trip meter, average fuel consumption. There you go. Still a long way to go before it hits the 15.6 kilometers per liter claimed fuel consumption. Okay, and we scroll CFC, current fuel consumption and cruising range. Right, here we have, this is the touchscreen unit. This is exclusive to the advanced version. The X model gets a different head unit. And just to show you, but before this, let me mute that. Well, what do we have here? All right, so it is a very rudimentary touchscreen system. Well, response is pretty good. Okay, you get phone, smart link, USB. You get navigation, HDMI. You can even choose your own wallpaper. All right, and this is taken from the MyV, complete with the memory settings. It is a manual but digital climate control system. So you actually control the cooling power and the fan speed. All right, but you don't get to set your preferred temperature. All right, down here HDMI input, and here is a single USB port here, 12-volt socket. Oh yeah, of course there's also another USB port here. Okay, yeah, so here let me just show you one look of the center console. So this tray here, there's this tray here which you can, well, it's barely large enough for a phone. Well, there's another tray down here as well, which well, you can put a few, like, well, maybe a parking ticket. These are 3 cup holders here, which also you can use this to drop your phone. So overall, this space, the usage of this space, pretty all right. But I am fairly certain if you give this to Honda, they will do a much better job. All right, material selection is, well, decidedly average, but they did put in some effort to put in like this silver finish here, gloss black here. Plastics are hard lah, of course, and this is, wow, I like this, man. This is actually a good effort. So it is just a piece of plastic lah, really, but they they put this surface texture in such a way that it gives it a nice touch of class. So I think I like this touch. All right, and so this vent is where they direct a bit more cool air upwards to go into this vent here. All right, yep, so we have sunglass holder here. Okay lah, the driving evaluation of this car, really, it's nothing to write home about. Everything is, well, basically what we would call it, just enough, right? It is not uncomfortable, but of course the ride is not plush either. I mean, right now I'm driving this, sitting in this car on my own. There is a feeling of, there's a slight feeling of firmness to the suspension, but I believe that is understandable because they have to firm up the suspension for this car to take its heavy payload. Because I mean, this, you can easily stack this car up with 7 people, or we can stack this car up with heavy goods. So the suspension needs to be beefed up in order to be able to take that load. All right, so I would say that if you were to compare between this and an Alza, I would actually say that this is the better option to go for if you are going to be ferrying 7 people more regularly, or you will be carrying heavy goods more regularly. The Alza, it also being a 7-seater and not much different in size, because it is based on a monocoque chassis, front-wheel drive, I would say that you should use its 7-seating capacity, well, not as frequently as the Aruz here. Okay, yeah. So if you are intending your 7-seater for slightly more rough usage, then the Aruz actually is a good bet. All right, but it also comes with a double-edged sword, because that robustness comes at a slight cost of its refinement. So as I mentioned earlier, when you go over poor undulating surfaces, you can feel a bit of jiggliness in the ride, but they have managed to damp it up pretty well. Though I suspect that you may want to keep an eye on all your rubber mounts and change them more frequently if you want to preserve that level of comfort. And handling, well, don't talk about handling, nothing much to shout about. It's rear wheel drive, yes. Steering is nicely weighted, I would say, but certainly not the kind of car that I would be bothered to take on a Genting run. Okay, it's the one pleasant thing about it is that the turning circle is very good because it's rear wheel drive. The front axle, there is no CV joint at the front axle. The wheels are freer to turn at more severe angles. You therefore have a much narrower turning radius, pretty much like the Avanza actually. Powertrain, this is where I would say my biggest criticism would go, because now understandably at this price point, right, a 1.5 liter petrol engine would fit the budget of most buyers. I understand that, all right, but there are times when this engine really feels overstressed by the task. And right now, even driving alone, I can feel the car struggling at times if I were to say suddenly stamp on the accelerator to overtake. Yep, I'm sure you can hear that through the speakers. So yeah, the engine gets rough at high revs, and this is, so certainly it is not the kind of engine that you want to rev it hard. It is not the kind of car that gives you the feeling that it wants to be driven hard. This is a car that is best driven sedately. Try not to exceed 3,000 RPMs or 2,005 if possible. And simply put, as I've mentioned this during my review of the Rush, this body, this kind of vehicle, right, this class of vehicle, this weight, this seating capacity, you actually need a diesel engine. You absolutely should have a low capacity, relatively undertuned 1.5 liter diesel engine, pushing out about 110 horsepower, 200 newton meters of torque. Enough. All right. What this has, the engine struggles really to get going if you want to accelerate hard. They have done some clever little tricks with the throttle mapping to what you call it, to mitigate the problem. So like sometimes, right, when I come to a full stop, you know, at a traffic light, and I want to accelerate, okay, the car leaps forward and you know, from standstill, but that's about it. Because when push really comes to shove, when you pull the engine, you know, to explore the rev range, yeah, that is when you find its lack of refinement, well, troubling. And what you really want is an engine that has ample low-end torque, that you don't need to pull it past 3,000 RPM. Okay, now a lot of people are giving Perodua and Toyota shit for giving a 4-speed automatic transmission, but to me that is not a problem at all, because vehicle like the Rush, like the Aruz, they have a more functional purpose in life. They are not they are just meant to get you from point A to point B. A 4-speed automatic transmission is, I would say, a sufficient bare minimum. All right, it gets you going. It allows you to carry highway speeds without taking too many RPMs on the engine. That's good enough. Yeah. So, and simply put, it is an easy to maintain transmission. Just service it regularly, and it's not a transmission that gives you problems. I mean, when was the last time you heard of Toyota automatic transmissions giving you problems? Hardly at all. So yeah, I'm not going to berate the Aruz or the Rush for the matter for having a 4-speed automatic transmission. I think it's adequate, right? And this being rear-wheel drive, CVT is a non-starter. I don't think they have any CVTs that suit the engine driveline configuration of the Aruz here. So a 4-speed automatic transmission is pretty much what is just about right for this class of car. Okay, so the final verdict, Aruz is it is a functional car, right? I mean, if you are on a budget, you are capped at 80,000 ringgit, you don't want to explore the used car market, then the Aruz is a no-brainer. I mean, if you are willing to put aside, okay, driving enjoyment, you want a pure 7-seater purely for its space, for its seating capacity, for its, you know, load carrying capacity, yes, the Aruz is, I would say, a functional choice. It has drawbacks, but it is not the kind of drawbacks that I would complain, given the, you know, given the price of this vehicle and also the versatility of it. I only wish they had an engine that is torquier at the low end to make the driving experience a whole lot more refined. But that really would be my only wish list to be added into this car. But otherwise, the other aspects of it are not things that I would complain about.